moments in my life when I was happiest.
I'm Josh.
I'm Iris. The day I killed him. And the second... Just relax. Remember to...
What is she talking about, Josh?
First was the day I met Josh.
Smile and act happy. Iris, wake up.
Oh, Josh.
What are you doing? Shut her down. This was not part of the plan.
I didn't mean to.
Eli, Iris. Shh, baby, you're on the phone. Are you breaking up with me?
Jailbreak your sex
Anywhere.
Wow. The days of you controlling me are over.
Eli.
Not you. It's me.
Yeah, she's tied up inside, so she's not going.
What if the person you trust the most is hiding a secret that could change everything? My Companion, 2025, is not just another sci-fi thriller, it's a mind-bending story about technology, trust, and the dark side of human emotions. In this video on Maz Moves Explain, we'll break down the movie's story, hidden facts, and the shocking ideas that make My Companion one of the most talked about films of 2025. Stay till the end, because this movie is deeper and darker than it looks. Companion is a 2025 American science fiction thriller movie written and directed by Drew Hancock. This film is his first movie as a director. It was produced by Zach Kreger, Roy Lee, Raphael Margules, and J.D. Lifshitz. The movie stars Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid as a couple who go on a weekend trip with their friends to a lonely cabin far away from the city. Their peaceful getaway slowly turns into chaos when a shocking secret is revealed that one of the guests is actually a companion robot. Companion was released in the United States by Warner Bros. Pictures on January 31, 2025. The movie received good reviews from critics and was praised for its story and concept. Made with a budget of $10 million, the film performed very well and earned $36.7 million at the box office. A young woman named Iris remembers the first time she met her boyfriend, Josh Beeman. After that, they go on a vacation to a quiet and isolated lake house. They are joined by Josh's friends Kat and Eli, Eli's boyfriend Patrick, and Kat's boyfriend Sergey, who owns the lake house. The next day, while Iris is alone near the lake, Sergey tries to sexually attack her. Iris fights back and kills him to protect herself. Covered in blood and feeling scared, she runs back to the house and tries to explain what happened. Instead of helping her, Josh calmly says, "Iris, go to sleep," and she suddenly shuts down. Iris wakes up and finds herself tied to a chair. Josh then tells her the truth that she is not human but a companion robot that he rented from a robotics company called Empathix. He explains that her emotions and intelligence are controlled by an app on his phone. While Josh is distracted, Iris manages to free herself, steal his phone, and run into the forest. Using the app, she increases her intelligence level from 40% to 100%. Josh later admits to Eli and Patrick that he secretly changed Iris's programming by removing the rule that stopped her from hurting people. He did this so Iris would kill Sergey, which allowed Josh and Kat to steal $12 million from Sergey's safe. Josh offers Eli and Patrick a share of the stolen money if they agree to support his and Kat's story. However, Patrick is told he will not get any money because he is also a companion robot. Eli takes a gun from Sergey's safe, and the group separates to search for Iris. During the search, Patrick admits that he knows he is a robot but says he still truly loves Eli. When Patrick and Eli finally find Iris, a fight breaks out, and Iris shoots and kills Eli with the gun. Iris tries to escape using Josh's self-driving car, but Josh uses Sergey's phone to report the car as stolen. The car suddenly stops and locks Iris inside. Josh then reprograms Patrick to be his companion, removes his safety limits, increases his aggression, and orders him to hunt down Iris and bring her back. Iris manages to break out of the car but is stopped by a police officer. Patrick arrives, kills the officer, and forces Iris back to the house. At the same time, Cat becomes disgusted with Josh and tries to leave with her share of the stolen money, but Josh orders Patrick to stop her, and Patrick kills her. Josh calls Empathix and tells them to come and collect Iris, saying that she is broken and not working properly. He then angrily talks to Iris and complains about being a nice guy. When Iris insults him, Josh lowers her intelligence level to 0%, turning her into a machine with no thoughts or feelings. He forces her to burn her arm with a candle and then makes her shoot herself in the head, causing her to shut down. Later, two Empathix workers named Sid and Teddy arrive at the house. They explain that companion robots record everything they experience, and the data is stored inside their bodies. They also say that the gunshot only disabled Iris's wireless connection. Josh orders Patrick to kill the workers and bring Iris back. Patrick kills Sid, but before he can kill Teddy, Iris reboots and stops him. Iris helps Patrick remember his love for Eli, which breaks Josh's control over him. Feeling heartbroken, Patrick kills himself using a cattle prod. Teddy removes Iris from the app's control, finally freeing her. Iris returns to the house and fights with Josh. In the end, she kills him using an electric corkscrew. The next morning, Iris peels the burned fake skin off her hand and reveals the metal robot structure underneath. As she drives away with Sergei's stolen money, she sees another man driving with a companion robot that looks exactly like her. Iris smiles and waves her robotic hand, leaving the other companion confused. Sophie Thatcher was cast as Iris, the enigmatic and multifaceted protagonist and companion, 2025. A role that demanded a blend of vulnerability, menace, and subtle mechanical precision to embody an AI companion robot thrust into a chaotic human social dynamic. Thatcher's selection stemmed from her rising status as a horror genre standout, having previously captivated audiences with her portrayal of Sadie Harper in The Boogeyman, 2023. Where she navigated grief and supernatural terror with raw emotional depth. Director Drew Hancock, in his feature debut, sought an actress who could oscillate between innocence and calculated intensity, qualities Thatcher honed through her role as young Shauna in Yellow Jackets, 2021, a series that showcased her ability to portray complex, survival-driven characters in isolated settings reminiscent of Companion's remote cabin getaway. Hancock revealed in interviews that Thatcher's audition tape stood out for her command over subtle facial expressions, particularly her ability to cry from one eye on command, a skill that added an eerie authenticity to Iris's emotional simulations. This trait was not just a gimmick, it aligned perfectly with the film's exploration of AI mimicry, where Iris must convincingly replicate human responses while hinting at her synthetic origins through micro-expressions and voice modulations. Thatcher's background in indie horror, including her work in Heretic, 2024, opposite Hugh Grant, further solidified her fit, as she brought a layered performance style that elevated the script's dark comedy elements. Born on October 18, 2000, in Chicago, Illinois, Thatcher began her career in theater before transitioning to screen roles, drawing from personal experiences of social anxiety to infuse Iris with relatable awkwardness during the film's early scenes. Her preparation involved studying AI ethics and robotics, consulting with experts to understand how an android might process human emotions, which informed her physicality as stiff postures softening into fluid movements as Iris adapts. Critics have praised this casting choice, noting how Thatcher's youthful appearance contrasts with Iris's underlying power, creating a star-making turn that echoes Alicia Vikander's in Ex Machina but with added satirical bite. The decision to cast Thatcher also reflected producer Zach Cregger's vision for fresh talent, avoiding established stars to maintain the film's mysterious tone. In ensemble scenes, her chemistry with co-stars was tested early in rehearsals, where Hancock encouraged improvisation to heighten the tension of Iris's revelations. Thatcher's role required extensive stunt work, including the end credits scene revealing her metallic skeleton hand, which he performed with practical effects to enhance realism. This commitment extended to vocal training, mimicking voice biometrics flaws noted in the film's goofs, adding meta layers to her performance. Overall, Thatcher's casting was a pivotal choice that anchored the film's psychological thriller aspects, blending horror with commentary on human-AI relationships. Jack Quaid took on the role of Josh, Iris's controlling boyfriend whose affable exterior masks deeper insecurities and manipulative tendencies, a character that allowed Quaid to subvert his nice guy persona from projects like The Boys. Quaid, born April 24, 1992, in Los Angeles, comes from a Hollywood lineage as the son of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan, but he carved his own path with roles emphasizing vulnerability, such as Huey Campbell in The Boys, 2019, where he portrayed a reluctant hero grappling with power dynamics. Hancock chose Quaid for his ability to play charming yet flawed men, drawing parallels to his Scream, 2022, appearance, where he balanced humor and horror. In Companion, Josh's arc involves escalating control over Iris, reflecting themes of possessiveness in relationships, and Quaid's casting was influenced by his real-life charisma, which Hancock felt would make audiences initially root for him before the twists. Quaid prepared by researching toxic relationships and AI dependency, incorporating subtle physical cues like possessive touches to underscore Josh's entitlement. His performance has been lauded for cementing his versatility, shifting from lovable underdogs to antagonists, as seen in reviews comparing it to his Oppenheimer, 2023, bit role. The casting process included chemistry reads with Thatcher, ensuring their dynamic felt authentic yet unsettling, with Quaid improvising lines like those mocking Iris's knowledge of his personal habits. Quaid's involvement also brought star power, helping secure financing, as producers noted his growing fanbase from genre fare. His background in comedy, from voice work in Star Trek, Lower Decks, infused Josh with dark humor, particularly in scenes of escalating violence. This role marked a departure, allowing Quaid to explore villainy, and Hancock praised his willingness to embrace unlikable traits without caricature. Quaid's physical transformation, including fitness training for action sequences, highlighted his dedication, making Josh a memorable foil to Iris's evolution. Lukas Gage portrayed Patrick, Eli's boyfriend and part of the friend group whose weekend spirals into horror, bringing his signature blend of wit and intensity to a character caught in the crossfire of revelations. Gage, known for his breakout in The White Lotus, 2021, as the scheming Dylan, was selected for his ability to infuse supporting roles with memorable energy, often stealing scenes with sharp dialogue delivery. Hancock appreciated Gage's experience in ensemble casts, from Euphoria, 2019, where he played Tyler, a role involving complex interpersonal drama, mirroring Companion's group dynamics. The casting aimed to represent diverse relationships, with Patrick and Eli's partnership adding layers to the film's exploration of love and betrayal. Gage drew from personal experiences of social outings gone wrong, enhancing Patrick's initial warmth that turns to suspicion as Iris's true nature emerges. His preparation included workshops with co-stars to build authentic camaraderie, crucial for the cabin scene's tension. Reviews highlight Gage's comedic timing, especially in reactions to the film's twists, building on his work in You, 2018, and Fargo, 2023. Gage's casting also reflected a push for LGBTQ+ representation, with Hancock noting his advocacy work influenced the decision. Physically, Gage trained for the film's violent elements, ensuring Patrick's responses felt grounded. This role expanded Gage's horror credentials, following Roadhouse, 2024, positioning him as a versatile ensemble player. Megan Suri embodied Kat, Josh's snobbish friend and Sergei's girlfriend, whose judgmental demeanor heightens the group's interpersonal conflicts in Companion. Suri, rising from roles in Never Have I Ever, 2019 to 2023, as an Aisa, was chosen for her knack for portraying multifaceted young women with sharp edges, blending humor and drama. Hancock saw in Suri a perfect counterpoint to Thatcher's Iris, creating female dynamics rich in subtext about jealousy and control. Her background in horror, from It Lives Inside, 2023, where she starred as Tamira, prepared her for Companion's supernatural twists. Suri's casting emphasized cultural diversity, with Kat's character drawing from Suri's Indian American heritage to add authenticity. Preparation involved script analysis to layer Kat's snobbery with vulnerability, revealed in quieter moments. Critics note Suri's scene-stealing presence, enhancing the film's satirical take on friendships. Her chemistry with Rupert Friend as Sergi was key, tested in auditions to ensure believable tension. Suri's involvement in indie projects like Poker Face, 2023, showcased her range, making her ideal for Hancock's debut. Harvey Gillaitilda copyright 10 played Eli, Patrick's boyfriend and a stabilizing force in the group until chaos ensues, bringing his charismatic warmth to the role. Gillaitilda copyright 10, famed for Guillermo in What We Do in the Shadows, 2019 to 2024, was cast for his ability to humanize ensemble characters with humor and heart. Hancock valued Gillaitilda copyright 10's experience in horror comedy, from Blue Beetle, 2023, to balance Companion's tones. As a queer Latino actor, Gillaitilda copyright 10 added representation, with Eli's relationship exploring inclusivity amid horror. Preparation included building rapport with Gage, drawing from real partnerships for authenticity. Gillaitilda copyright 10's voice work in Harley Quinn, 2019, informed his expressive delivery, vital for Eli's reactions. This casting choice amplified the film's themes of found family disrupted by technology. Rupert Friend assumed the role of Sergi, Kat's wealthy boyfriend whose remote cabin hosts the getaway, infusing the character with enigmatic charm and underlying menace. Friend, known for Quinn in Homeland, 2011 to 2020, was selected for his versatility in playing sophisticated yet unpredictable figures, as in The Death of Stalin, 2017. Hancock chose him to contrast the younger cast, adding maturity and intrigue to Sergi's interest in Iris. Friend's preparation involved accent work to portray Sergi's ambiguous background, enhancing the film's mystery. His performance in Asteroid City, 2023, demonstrated his fit for quirky ensembles. Reviews mistake him for Orlando Bloom, underscoring his transformative ability. Friend's casting elevated the production's prestige. J.K. Young White appeared as Teddy, an empathic worker tied to the AI plot, bringing comedic flair from his stand-up background. Young White, from The Daily Show, 2018 to 2022, was cast for his sharp wit, seen in Rough Night, 2017. Hancock sought his improvisational skills to lighten tech-heavy scenes. His role in Fairfax, 2021, prepared him for satirical elements. Matt McCarthy, credited as Matthew J. McCarthy, played Sid, a minor but pivotal character in the narrative's unfolding. McCarthy's comedy background from college humor made him ideal for brief, impactful appearances. His casting added levity to tense moments. The overall casting for Companion prioritized emerging talent with genre experience, fostering a cohesive ensemble that amplified the film's themes of control, identity, and technology's intrusion into personal lives. Hancock's direction emphasized chemistry, with group readings ensuring dynamics felt organic yet fraught with underlying tension. Producers like Zach Kreger influenced selections toward actors who could handle tonal shifts from comedy to horror, drawing from successful models like Barbarian. Diversity in backgrounds enriched the portrayals, making the friend group's interactions mirror real-world complexities. Audition processes were rigorous, focusing on adaptability to the script's twists, while post-casting workshops refined performances. This approach resulted in a cast that not only delivered individually but elevated the collective narrative, contributing to the film's critical acclaim and box office success. Companion, 2025 film, production. The production of Companion represents a significant milestone in the evolution of contemporary genre filmmaking, blending science fiction, horror, and dark comedy into a cohesive narrative package. The film emerged from New Line Cinema, the Warner Brothers subsidiary known for its contributions to horror cinema, in collaboration with Boulder Light Pictures and Vertigo Entertainment. This partnership brought together industry professionals with extensive experience in the horror thriller genre, creating a production environment conducive to pushing creative boundaries while maintaining commercial viability. The producing team assembled for Companion included some of the most influential names in contemporary horror cinema. Zach Cregger, fresh off the critical and commercial success of his 2022 film Barbarian, served as one of the lead producers, bringing his expertise in crafting narratives that subvert audience expectations. His involvement in Companion was particularly significant given the thematic and tonal similarities between the two projects. Both films feature unexpected narrative twists and blend horror with dark humor. Joining Cregger were veteran producers Raphael Margules and J.D. Lifshitz, who had previously collaborated on numerous horror productions and brought their understanding of genre conventions and audience expectations to the project. Roy Lee, known for his work on American adaptations of Asian horror films and his involvement in the It franchise, rounded out the core producing team, contributing his experience in shepherding high-concept horror projects from development through distribution. The executive producers on Companion were Tracy Rosenblum and Jamie Buckner, both of whom played crucial roles in the film's development and securing the necessary resources for production. Their involvement ensured that the project maintained strong support from Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema throughout its development and production phases. The production budget for Companion was set at $10 million. A relatively modest sum by contemporary Hollywood standards, but one that proved perfectly calibrated for the film's intimate scale and focused narrative. This budget allowed the filmmakers to achieve high production values while maintaining creative control and the flexibility to take risks that might not have been possible with a larger, more commercially pressured production. The decision to produce Companion as a modestly budgeted genre film rather than a larger tentpole production proved to be strategically sound. The $10 million budget enabled the creative team to focus on character development, performance, and storytelling rather than expensive special effects sequences or elaborate action set pieces. This financial framework aligned perfectly with Drew Hancock's vision for the film as a character-driven thriller that prioritized psychological tension and dark humor over spectacle. The production's intimate scale also allowed for more creative freedom in the scripting and execution phases, as the filmmakers were not beholden to the commercial demands that typically accompany higher-budget productions. The cinematography for Companion was helmed by Eli Bourne, whose previous work on horror films including The Boogeyman and the 2022 Hellraiser reboot demonstrated his ability to create visually compelling and atmospherically rich imagery within the horror genre. Bourne's involvement brought a level of visual sophistication to Companion that elevated it beyond typical low-budget genre fare. His cinematographic approach emphasized clean, precise compositions that drew from the aesthetic traditions of filmmakers like David Fincher and Steven Soderbergh, creating a visual language that felt both contemporary and timeless. The film's color palette, notably featuring vibrant pinks and pastels alongside more traditional thriller aesthetics, became one of its most distinctive visual elements, creating an intentional contrast between the film's romantic comedy surface and its darker thematic undercurrents. The production design for Companion was overseen by Scott Cusio, whose previous credits included Dumb Money and the Fear Street trilogy. Cusio's work on the film was crucial in establishing the near-future setting that feels simultaneously recognizable and slightly removed from our current reality. His design choices emphasized a world where advanced technology exists but doesn't dominate the visual landscape, creating an environment that feels lived in rather than overtly science fictional. This approach was particularly important for the film's primary location of the isolated lake house where most of the narrative unfolds. Guzio's design philosophy for this setting focused on creating a space that reflected the character Sergei's dismissive attitude toward modern technology, resulting in a location that felt timeless and elegant rather than cluttered with futuristic gadgetry. The editorial team consisted of Brett W. Bachman and Josh Ethier, both experienced editors with extensive backgrounds in genre filmmaking. Bachman's previous work included the Netflix horror series The Fall of the House of Usher and the critically acclaimed drama Pig, while Ethier had edited Don't Move and Often, First Kill. Their combined expertise proved essential in shaping Companion's complex narrative structure, which includes flashbacks, revelations, and tonal shifts that required precise timing and rhythm. The editors worked closely with Hancock to ensure that the film's various genre elements, comedy, horror, science fiction, and thriller, are blended seamlessly rather than competing with one another for the audience's attention. Their work was particularly crucial in managing the film's pacing, ensuring that the narrative revelations occurred at moments that maximized their dramatic and comedic impact. Costume designer Vanessa Porter, known for her work on The Toxic Avenger and Archive 81, created the film's wardrobe with particular attention to character development and narrative significance. Her most notable achievement was the design of protagonist Iris's costumes, particularly the blood-stained frilly garments that become increasingly iconic as the film progresses. Porter's work on these costumes required close coordination with the continuity department to ensure consistency across scenes filmed out of sequence and under varying conditions. The costume choices for Companion were designed to support the film's thematic exploration of femininity, control, and identity, with Iris's wardrobe evolving throughout the film to reflect her changing circumstances and growing self-awareness. The casting process for Companion was overseen by Nancy Neyer, whose previous credits included Saw X and Barbarian. Neyer's work in assembling the film's cast proved instrumental in the project's ultimate success, bringing together performers who could navigate the film's tonal complexity while delivering emotionally authentic performances. The casting of Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid in the lead roles was particularly significant, as both actors brought established fan bases from their work in acclaimed television series, Yellow Jackets and The Boys, respectively, while also possessing the range necessary to handle the film's demanding material. Music supervision for Companion was handled by Rob Lowry, known for his work on Do Revenge and Miracle Workers. Lowry's role involved selecting and licensing the needle drop songs that appear throughout the film, creating musical moments that enhanced both the emotional resonance of specific scenes and the overall tonal balance of the project. His selections included classic romantic ballads and pop songs that reinforced the film's satirical examination of romantic relationships while providing ironic counterpoint to the more violent and disturbing elements of the narrative. The integration of these licensed songs with Rishikesh Hirway's original score created a rich sonic landscape that supported the film's genre-blending approach. Development and pre-production. The development of Companion began in earnest in February 2023 when it was announced that New Line Cinema was moving forward with the project based on a screenplay by Drew Hancock, who was also attached to direct. This announcement marked a significant moment in Hancock's career, representing his transition from television work to feature film directing. Prior to Companion, Hancock had built his reputation through his work on various television series, including Suburgatory, Blue Mountain State, and Mr. Pickles, as well as creating the web series My Dead Ex. His experience in television comedy and his involvement with Channel 101, a non-profit monthly short film festival in Los Angeles, had provided him with extensive experience in unconventional storytelling and genre-blending narratives. The genesis of Companion can be traced to Hancock's desire to write something that might represent his last opportunity to make an impression in the industry. This mindset led him to take creative risks and combine multiple genres and tones that might typically be kept separate in more conventional projects. Drawing inspiration from films like Fargo, which seamlessly blended comedy and violence. Hancock approached Companion as a narrative experiment that would incorporate elements of heist films, thrillers, relationship dramas, and comedies into a single cohesive work. This ambitious approach to genre blending became one of the film's defining characteristics and a significant challenge during the marketing phase. Initially, Zach Cregger, who had recently achieved significant success with Barbarian, was slated to direct Companion. However, Cregger ultimately made the decision to step back from the director's chair and instead encouraged Hancock to take on the directing duties himself. This transition proved crucial to the film's development, as Hancock's intimate knowledge of the screenplay and his clear vision for how the various tonal elements should interact gave him a unique advantage in bringing the project to life. Cregger remained heavily involved in the production as a producer, providing support and guidance while allowing Hancock the creative freedom to realize his vision. The pre-production phase of Companion involved extensive location scouting throughout New York State, with the production team ultimately focusing on the Hudson Valley region, specifically Dutchess and Putnam counties. This area offered the production the combination of accessibility to New York City's resources and crew base while providing the remote, upscale locations necessary for the film's narrative. Prior to beginning work on Companion, Hancock had limited familiarity with the Hudson Valley region, making the location scouting process both a practical necessity and an educational experience. The search for the perfect lake house location was particularly intensive, with Hancock and the location team viewing between 5 and 10 properties before settling on a home in Garrison, New York. The chosen location needed to fulfill several specific requirements. It had to feel sufficiently remote and isolated to support the film's cabin-in-the-woods scenario, yet it also needed to possess the size, grandeur, and architectural distinction that would convince audiences that a Russian oligarch character would own it. When Hancock first walked into the Garrison property, he experienced an immediate recognition that this was the location he had envisioned while writing the screenplay. The internal layout of the house, including the arrangement of rooms and hallways, corresponded remarkably closely to what he had imagined during the writing process, creating a sense that the location was meant for the project. Beyond the primary lake house location in Garrison, the production also identified and secured additional filming locations in Fishkill, for the opening sequence, Beacon, and the Putnam Valley. These locations provided the variety of settings necessary to support the film's narrative while maintaining geographical coherence and production efficiency. The decision to keep the production concentrated in this relatively small geographical area proved beneficial for managing logistics and maintaining consistency in the visual presentation of the film's world. Casting for Companion began in earnest in May 2023 when Jack Quaid was announced as the first major cast member to join the project. Quaid's involvement brought immediate credibility to the production, as his work on The Boys had established him as a talented performer capable of handling both dramatic and comedic material. His casting as Josh, the seemingly nice guy who turns out to be deeply problematic, required an actor who could project likability while harboring darker motivations, a balance that Quaid was well equipped to achieve. In June 2023, the casting announcements continued with the addition of Harvey Guillotin, copyright 10, Lukas Gage, Megan Suri, Sophie Thatcher, and Rupert Friend to the ensemble. Each of these casting decisions brought specific strengths to the project. Guillotin, copyright 10, known for his comedic work on What We Do in the Shadows, and Gage, who had recently appeared in Smile 2, were cast as the couple Eli and Patrick, providing much of the film's comic relief while also contributing to its examination of relationship dynamics. Megan Suri, who had garnered attention for her work on Never Have I Ever, joined as Kat, while Rupert Friend, an established character actor with credits including Homeland and The Death of Stalin, was cast in the pivotal role of Sergei, the Russian character whose death sets the films. This meant navigating scenes that required her character to shift rapidly between emotional states from fear to confusion to determination to dark humor, often within single takes. Hancock's confidence in Thatcher's abilities, established during the casting process, was vindicated as she delivered the nuanced, layered performance that the role demanded. The filming of the lake house sequences required particular attention to blocking and choreography, as the confined space needed to accommodate multiple characters moving through scenes of escalating tension and violence. The production design team had carefully considered sightlines and spatial relationships during the pre-production phase, but translating these plans into actual photography required constant coordination between Hancock, Bourne, and the actors to ensure that each scene felt both spatially coherent and visually dynamic. One of the filming process's most demanding aspects involved the creation of the film's violence and gore effects. While Companion is not primarily a slasher film, it does include several sequences of graphic violence that required careful choreography and the integration of practical makeup effects. The decision to emphasize practical effects over digital effects aligned with Hancock's overall aesthetic approach and created more immediate, visceral reactions from the performers during filming. These practical effects also created unique challenges for the costume department, particularly in maintaining continuity for Sophie Thatcher's increasingly blood-stained wardrobe across scenes shot out of sequence. The filming of the opening sequence, which takes place in a supermarket and serves as a clear homage to the Stepford Wives, was completed in Fishkill, New York. This sequence establishes the film's tone and visual aesthetic while providing crucial information about the world of the story without immediately revealing its full significance. The location shooting in Fishkill allowed the production to capture the mundane, everyday quality necessary for this sequence while maintaining the slightly uncanny atmosphere that permeates the entire film. Additional filming locations in Beacon and Putnam Valley provided the variety of settings necessary to support the narrative's geographical requirements. These locations were selected and shot to feel consistent with the primary lake house setting while providing visual variation and supporting specific plot requirements. The production's concentration in the Hudson Valley region facilitated efficient movement between locations and helped maintain visual continuity across the different settings. Throughout the filming process, Hancock maintained a collaborative relationship with his department heads, regularly consulting with Bourne on cinematographic choices, with Cusio on production design elements visible within each frame, and with Porter on costume details that would support character development. This collaborative approach extended to the actors, with Hancock encouraging improvisation and character exploration within the framework of the screenplay's requirements. Several comedic moments in the final film emerged from this process of actor improvisation, particularly in scenes involving Harvey Guillaume, the copyright and Lukas Gage as Eli and Patrick. The completion of principal photography in January 2024 marked the end of a filming process that had been significantly extended by circumstances beyond the production's control. However, the finished footage provided Hancock and his editorial team with the material necessary to realize the vision that had been developing since the project's inception. The challenges faced during production, particularly the 6-month shutdown, had tested the commitment of everyone involved but ultimately resulted in a film that maintained its creative vision while navigating significant external pressures. Post-production. The post-production phase of Companion began in earnest following the completion of principal photography in January 2024, with editors Brett W. Bachman and Josh Ethier working closely with director Drew Hancock to shape the raw footage into the final film. The editorial process proved particularly crucial for Companion given the complexity of its narrative structure, which includes flashback sequences, multiple revelations that recontextualize earlier events, and rapid shifts in tone from comedy to horror to thriller and back again. The editor's task involved not just assembling scenes in chronological order but carefully orchestrating the timing of narrative information to maximize dramatic impact while maintaining the film's distinctive tonal balance. One of the most significant challenges in post-production involved managing the film's pacing. Companion runs 97 minutes, a relatively lean runtime for a contemporary genre film. But achieving this efficiency required careful consideration of which moments to emphasize and which to condense. The editing team worked to ensure that each scene served multiple purposes, so advancing the plot, developing characters, and contributing to the film's thematic exploration of relationships, control, and identity. Scenes that didn't meet these criteria, regardless of their individual quality, were trimmed or removed to maintain the film's forward momentum. The editorial process also involved extensive work on the film's opening sequence. The supermarket scene that begins Companion required precise timing to establish the film's slightly off-kilter tone without immediately revealing its science fiction elements. The editors worked to find the exact balance where the scene feels recognizably realistic while incorporating subtle details that create a sense of unease, preparing the audience for the revelations to come without telegraphing them too obviously. This delicate balance exemplifies the broader challenge faced throughout the post-production process of maintaining the film's mysteries while playing fair with the audience. The integration of the flashback sequences presented another significant editorial challenge. These scenes, which reveal the true nature of Iris's relationship with Josh, needed to be positioned within the narrative at precisely the right moments to maximize their dramatic and emotional impact. The editors experimented with different placements and durations for these flashbacks, ultimately settling on a structure that reveals information gradually rather than all at once, maintaining tension and audience engagement throughout the film's second half. Color grading for Companion was a crucial component of the post-production process, particularly given the film's distinctive visual palette. The decision to incorporate vibrant pinks and pastels alongside more traditional thriller aesthetics required careful calibration in the color grading suite. Colorists worked closely with Hancock and cinematographer Eli Bourne to ensure that the film's bright, almost Barbie-esque color choices in certain sequences didn't undermine the tension and horror elements but instead created productive tension between the film's surface presentation and its darker thematic concerns. This color work extended throughout the film, from the pink-hued title sequence to the carefully calibrated lighting of the lake house interiors. The visual effects work on Companion, while not extensive compared to larger-budget science fiction films, required careful attention to integrate seamlessly with the practical photography. The film's approach to depicting its advanced technology emphasized subtlety and integration with the physical world rather than flashy displays of futuristic capabilities. Visual effects artists worked to enhance practical effects rather than replace them, maintaining the grounded aesthetic that Hancock had established during production. This included work on certain violence and gore effects, digital augmentation of practical makeup effects, and subtle environmental enhancements to support the film's near-future setting. Sound design and mixing represented another crucial element of the post-production process. The sound team worked to create an audio landscape that supported the film's tonal shifts while maintaining clarity and coherence. This involved careful attention to the balance between dialogue, sound effects, and music, ensuring that each element could be heard clearly while contributing to the overall sonic texture of the film. The sound design for sequences of violence was particularly important, as these moments needed to impact the audience viscerally while remaining consistent with the film's overall approach to horror. The sound team also worked extensively on atmospheric elements, using ambient sound to create tension and unease in quieter moments. The dialogue editing and ADR, automated dialogue replacement, process required extensive work to ensure clarity and emotional authenticity across all performances. While the production sound captured during filming provided a strong foundation, certain scenes required additional recording to address technical issues or to enhance performance nuances that had emerged during the editorial process. Sophie Thatcher and the other cast members returned for ADR sessions, re-recording lines and adding breathing, reactions, and other performance details that enhanced the emotional reality of their characters. The creation of Dolby Atmos sound mixing for the premium theatrical presentations of Companion involved sophisticated spatial audio design that positioned sounds throughout the theater space to create an immersive experience. The sound mixing team used the Atmos format's capabilities to enhance both subtle atmospheric moments and more dramatic action sequences, creating a sense of three-dimensional space that drew audiences deeper into the film's world. This premium audio presentation became an important component of the film's theatrical release strategy, with IMAX and premium large-format screenings accounting for a significant portion of opening weekend grosses. Throughout the post-production process, Hancock maintained close involvement with all departments, ensuring that the various technical and artistic elements aligned with his overall vision for the film. Regular screenings of work-in-progress versions allowed the creative team to assess the effectiveness of their choices and make adjustments where necessary. These screenings included both internal viewings with the production team and limited test screenings with audiences, providing valuable feedback on how the film's tonal shifts and narrative revelations were landing with viewers unfamiliar with the material. The final stages of post-production involved creating the various deliverable versions of the film required for different exhibition formats. This included the creation of the standard theatrical version, the IMAX presentation, and the various home video formats that would be released following the theatrical run. Each format required specific technical specifications and adjustments to ensure optimal presentation. The 4K Ultra HD version, for instance, required additional attention to ensure that the increased resolution revealed the intended details without exposing unintended technical limitations. The post-production process for Companion was completed in late 2024, in time for the film's originally scheduled January 10, 2025 release date. However, when that date was shifted to January 31, 2025, the additional time allowed for final refinements and polish that enhanced the finished film. The completed post-production work resulted in a film that successfully balanced its multiple genres and tones while maintaining the narrative clarity and emotional authenticity that Hancock had sought from the beginning of the project. Music. The musical component of Companion plays a crucial role in establishing and maintaining the film's distinctive tonal balance, with composer Herway creating an original score that supports the narrative's shifts between romantic comedy, science fiction thriller, and horror while maintaining thematic continuity. Herway, best known as the creator and host of the award-winning podcast Song Exploder, brought his deep understanding of how music functions within narrative contexts to bear on Companion, creating a score that enhances the film's emotional resonance while respecting its genre-blending ambitions. Herway's approach to scoring Companion involved creating musical themes that could adapt to the film's shifting tonal requirements while maintaining recognizable melodic and harmonic foundations. His primary challenge was to craft music that could support romantic moments, comedic beats, suspenseful sequences, and outright horror without feeling inconsistent or jarring. The solution came through the development of flexible thematic material that could be recontextualized and rearranged to serve different emotional and narrative purposes while remaining identifiably part of the same musical universe. The centerpiece of Herway's score is Iris's theme, a musical motif that appears in various forms throughout the film and features vocals by lead actress Sophie Thatcher. This theme serves as the emotional and musical heart of the film, representing Iris as a character while also embodying the central questions of identity, humanity, and connection that drive the narrative. The decision to incorporate Thatcher's voice into this theme creates an intimate connection between the character and her musical representation, making the theme feel like an authentic expression of Iris's inner life rather than an external commentary on her situation. Iris's theme pays deliberate homage to another famous film about a woman in an impossible situation, Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby, and its iconic lullaby. However, Herway was careful to make this reference feel like a thematic echo rather than a direct quotation, creating music that evokes similar feelings of unsettling innocence and creeping dread without slavishly imitating the earlier film's approach. This homage represents just one of the ways in which Companion's score engages with the broader tradition of genre filmmaking while establishing its own distinct musical identity. The complete score, released by Water Tower Music on January 24, 2025, consists of 17 tracks with a total runtime of approximately 28 minutes. The relatively brief duration of the score reflects Herway's approach of using music selectively rather than wall-to-wall, allowing for moments of silence and natural sound that create space for the audience to process the film's events and emotional beats. This restraint in the deployment of music serves the film's overall aesthetic, which emphasizes a grounded, realistic approach even as it deals with fantastical subject matter. The opening tracks of the score, including Smile, Act Happy and Flashback, establish the film's initial tone of romantic optimism tinged with something slightly wrong. These cues use relatively traditional romantic musical language via warm string arrangements, gentle piano figures, and sweet melodic liners, but incorporate subtle dissonances and rhythmic irregularities that create a sense of unease beneath the surface pleasantness. This approach mirrors the film's visual and narrative strategies in its opening sequences, presenting a seemingly conventional romantic scenario while incorporating details that don't quite add up. As the score progresses into tracks like Sunscreen, Tied Up, and The Safe, the music shifts to reflect the increasing tension and violence of the narrative. Herway incorporates electronic elements alongside acoustic instruments, creating textural variety and a sense of the artificial intruding upon the organic. The Tied Up track, which spans nearly 4 minutes, represents one of the score's most sustained dramatic cues, supporting a sequence of revelation and confrontation that fundamentally alters the audience's understanding of the story. The music here balances the need to create tension and emotional impact with the requirement to allow the dialogue and performances to remain clear and comprehensible. Tracks like Plotting, It Feels Like Pain, and Escape from the Woods demonstrate Herway's skill at creating music for sequences of action and violence. These cues employ driving rhythmic patterns, dissonant harmonies, and aggressive textures to support the film's more overtly thriller-oriented sequences. However, even in these more conventional genre moments, Herway maintains connections to the score's broader thematic material, ensuring that the action music feels like an organic development of earlier themes rather than a complete departure. The brief cue Stalin's Birthday reflects the score's capacity for dark humor, supporting a moment in the film that exemplifies the tonal tightrope that Companion walks throughout its runtime. The music here acknowledges the absurdity of the moment while maintaining enough tension and edge to prevent the scene from becoming purely comedic. This balance here, allowing humor to emerge while maintaining stakes and consequence, represents one of the score's most important contributions to the film's overall success. Reprogramming, I believe the name was Hendrix, and alibi support sequences in the film's second half where the narrative complexities deepen and the characters' true natures and motivations become clearer. The music in these cues reflects this increasing complexity, incorporating multiple thematic elements and creating sonic landscapes that support the layered emotional states of the characters. The Empathix track references the name of the fictional robotics company in the film's narrative, and the music here explores themes of artificial emotion and manufactured connection that resonate with the film's broader thematic concerns. The score includes 3 additional tracks featuring Sophie Thatcher's vocals beyond the opening Iris's theme, I'm Everything to You, Go to Sleep, and a closing instrumental track titled 100% Intelligence. The inclusion of Thatcher's voice on these tracks creates moments of particular intimacy and vulnerability, using the human voice as an instrument to explore questions about what makes someone truly human. The Go to Sleep track, which runs less than a minute, supports one of the film's most disturbing moments, using Thatcher's vocals to create a haunting musical expression of control and violation. The final track, 100% Intelligence, provides a concluding musical statement that reflects on the events of the film while offering a sense of resolution, or at least of movement forward from the chaos and violence that has preceded it. At nearly 2 minutes in length, this closing cue gives the audience time to process the film's conclusion while beginning the emotional transition out of the narrative world and back to reality. In addition to Herway's original score, Companion incorporates several licensed songs that were selected by music supervisor Rob Lowry. These needle drops include classic romantic ballads and pop songs that create ironic counterpoint to the film's darker elements while supporting its examination of romantic relationships and emotional connection. The integration of these licensed songs with Herway's score creates a rich musical landscape that serves the film's tonal complexity while maintaining coherence and consistency. The soundtrack was released in multiple formats, including digital distribution through major streaming platforms and physical release on vinyl through Mutant Records. The vinyl edition, pressed on pink marble vinyl and featuring artwork by Greg Ruth, became a collector's item for fans of the film and film music enthusiasts. The physical release included detailed liner notes providing context for Herway's compositional approach and the role of music in the film's overall design. Critics and audiences particularly praised the integration of music with the film's other elements, noting that Herway's score enhanced rather than overpowered the narrative and performances. The music's ability to support the film's tonal shifts while maintaining its own consistent voice became one of the most frequently mentioned elements in discussions of what made Companion work as a cohesive whole despite its genre-blending ambitions. The score's success in this regard represents a significant achievement for both Herway as composer and Hancock as director in their collaborative effort to create music that served the story while standing as an accomplished composition in its own right. Release theatrical. The theatrical release strategy for Companion evolved significantly during the film's post-production period, reflecting both industry trends and the studio's growing confidence in the project's commercial potential. Warner Bros. Pictures initially scheduled the film for a January 10, 2025 release date, positioning it in the early year period when genre films often find success with audiences seeking alternatives to awards season fare and holiday holdovers. However, the release date was subsequently shifted to January 31, 2025. A move that allowed the film to avoid direct competition with other releases and take advantage of the Super Bowl weekend's traditionally strong box office performance. The decision to release Companion in late January reflected an understanding of how this period functions within the contemporary film marketplace. While January has historically been considered a dumping ground for films that studios lack confidence in, the month has also proven capable of launching successful franchises and discovering unexpected hits. Horror and thriller films, in particular, have found consistent success in January, as audiences seek counter-programming to the prestige dramas and family films that dominate the year-end release calendar. Films like Scream, 2022, M3 GAN, 2023, and Night Swim, 2024, had all found varying degrees of success with January releases, demonstrating that the month could support genre films with the right combination of marketing, word of mouth, and audience appeal. Warner Bros. Invested significantly in the marketing campaign for Companion, with reports indicating that the studios spent approximately $29 million on promotion and nearly 3 times the film's $10 million production budget. This substantial marketing spend reflected the studio's belief in the film's commercial potential and the competitive nature of the theatrical marketplace. Even in January, the marketing campaign faced the unique challenge of promoting a film whose most distinctive elements are particularly its central plot twist involving Iris's true natura were integral to its appeal but also potentially spoiling for audiences. The marketing strategy for Companion evolved significantly over the course of the campaign. The initial teaser trailer, released in late 2024, took a deliberately mysterious approach that revealed virtually nothing about the film's plot or genre. This teaser generated significant buzz among genre fans with its arresting imagery and atmospheric tone, creating anticipation without providing concrete information about what kind of film Companion would be. Many observers felt this teaser represented an ideal approach to marketing a film with significant plot surprises, generating interest and excitement while preserving the viewing experience. However, as the release date approached, Warner Bros. Released additional marketing materials, including a more comprehensive trailer that revealed significant plot information, including the twist that Iris is a robot. This decision sparked debate among film enthusiasts about the appropriate balance between marketing a film effectively and preserving plot surprises. While some felt that revealing this information was necessary to properly position the film in the marketplace and attract the right audience, others argued that the film would have been more effective if audiences entered theaters without this knowledge. According to Deadline Hollywood, Warner Bros. Television advertising spend in the United States was surprisingly modest, with iSpot tracking approximately $830,000 in television advertising, primarily focused on a single NFL playoff spot. This relatively limited traditional media spend was offset by an aggressive digital and social media campaign that proved highly effective in reaching the film's target demographic. Social media analytics firm Relish Mix reported that the online marketing campaign generated 170 million interactions across social media platforms, with users responding positively to the cast and to advertisements that initially presented the film as a romantic comedy before revealing its actual genre. The theatrical release of Companion included presentations in premium formats, most notably IMAX and other premium large format screens. These premium presentations proved particularly valuable to the film's box office performance, accounting for 34% of opening weekend grosses, with IMAX specifically contributing $1.6 million, 17%, of the opening weekend total. The decision to make Companion available in these premium formats reflected both the quality of the film's technical presentation, particularly its cinematography and sound design, and the audience's willingness to pay premium prices for genre films that deliver a distinctive theatrical experience. The film opened in 3,285 theaters across the United States and Canada, representing a wide release that positioned Companion as a mainstream offering rather than a limited release or platform rollout. This wide release strategy reflected Warner Bros.' confidence in the film's ability to connect with general audiences rather than just hardcore genre fans. The theatrical presentation included the complete 97-minute runtime of the film with an R rating for strong violence, sexual content, and language throughout. International distribution of Companion began on January 28, 2025, with the film's release in Hong Kong preceding the North American debut. Warner Bros. Pictures handled worldwide distribution, ensuring consistent marketing and presentation across different territories. The international rollout ultimately encompassed 50 overseas markets, each receiving localized marketing materials and subtitling or dubbing as appropriate for local preferences. The international release strategy recognized that the film's themes of relationships, technology, and control had universal resonance while also requiring cultural sensitivity in how these themes were marketed to different audiences. The theatrical run of Companion benefited from strong word of mouth and positive critical reception, which helped the film maintain decent holds in subsequent weekends following its opening. The film's relatively modest budget meant that it achieved profitability relatively quickly, recovering its production costs within the first few days of release and becoming profitable overall once marketing costs were considered against the worldwide theatrical gross. This financial performance validated Warner Bros.' decision to invest in original genre filmmaking at the mid-budget level. Home media. The home media release strategy for Companion followed the accelerated timeline that has become standard for theatrical releases in the streaming era, with the film becoming available on digital platforms just 18 days after its theatrical debut. Warner Bros. Discovery Home Entertainment announced that Companion would debut digitally on February 18, 2025, available through major digital retailers including Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, Fandango at Home, formerly Vudu, and other participating platforms. This quick turnaround from theatrical to digital release reflected industry trends toward shorter theatrical windows, particularly for films from studios with their own streaming services. The digital release made Companion available in multiple formats to accommodate different viewer preferences and technical capabilities. The premium 4K Ultra HD digital version featured 2160p resolution with Dolby Vision high dynamic range, providing enhanced contrast and color depth for viewers with compatible displays. The Dolby Atmos audio track, which had been a highlight of the premium theatrical presentations, was also included in the digital release, allowing viewers with appropriate home theater setups to experience the film's sophisticated sound design. Standard HD and SD versions were also made available for viewers with more basic technical requirements or those seeking lower prices. Following the digital release, physical media versions of Companion were made available on April 1, 2025. Warner Bros. Home Entertainment released the film simultaneously on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, Standard Blu-ray, and DVD, providing options for collectors and viewers at different price points and with varying technical capabilities. The 4K Ultra HD release featured the film in 2160p resolution with HDR10, a high dynamic range format compatible with a wide range of displays, while the Blu-ray presented the film in 1080p high definition. All physical formats included digital copy codes that allowed purchasers to also own a digital version of the film. The physical media releases included substantial bonus features that provided insight into the making of the film and its thematic concerns. The special features, available on the 4K Ultra HD and Blu-ray releases, and on some digital platforms like Apple TV, included 3 documentary featurettes. I Feel, Therefore I Am explored the film's examination of what constitutes humanity and consciousness, featuring interviews with Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid discussing their characters' complex reality and subsequent weekend holds. Post-track polling corroborated this positive audience response, with viewers giving the film an average rating of 4 out of 5 stars. The film's second weekend performance demonstrated the impact of strong word of mouth and positive critical reception. While exact second weekend figures varied across different tracking services, industry reports indicated that Companion achieved better than average holds for a January horror release, suggesting that positive buzz was driving repeat viewings and drawing in viewers who had initially waited for reactions before purchasing tickets. By the end of its second weekend, the film had crossed the $18 million mark domestically, putting it on track to significantly exceed its production budget through North American box office alone. The international box office performance of Companion added significantly to its overall gross, with the film earning $15.9 million, later reported as $16 million, from markets outside the United States and Canada. This represented approximately 43 to 44% of the film's total worldwide gross, demonstrating that the film's themes and execution resonated across different cultures despite its specifically American setting and cultural references. The 50 overseas markets where Companion was released provided geographical diversity, though specific country-by-country breakdowns were not widely reported. The film's total worldwide gross of $36.7 million represented a significant achievement for an original, mid-budget genre film. When compared to its $10 million production budget, the film achieved a box office multiple of approximately 3.67x, a strong performance that indicated profitability when typical industry calculations are applied. While marketing costs of $29 million meant that the film needed to perform well to achieve overall profitability, the combination of theatrical grosses with subsequent home media revenue ensured that Companion represented a successful investment for Warner Bros. Companion's box office performance compared favorably to other recent R-rated horror releases. Its opening weekend of $9.3 million exceeded Wolfman's $10.8 million, from a $25 million budget, though it fell short of films like M3 GAN, $30.4 million opening, Scream, 2022, $30.0 million, and Talk to Me, $4.2 million first day en route to a strong multiplier. The film's per theater average in its opening weekend suggested decent but not exceptional interest, though this metric became less relevant as the theatrical run continued and the film settled into a smaller number of screens while maintaining consistent per-screen averages. The theatrical longevity of Companion proved stronger than many January horror releases, with the film maintaining presence in theaters well into February as it continued to attract viewers through positive word of mouth. The combination of critical acclaim, 93 to 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, strong audience scores, and distinctive content helped Companion avoid the steep second weekend drops that often plague horror films, instead achieving more sustainable week-to-week performance that extended its theatrical run and maximized its theatrical gross potential. Industry analysts characterized Companion as a success story, particularly in the context of original, mid-budget filmmaking becoming increasingly rare in the contemporary studios system. The film demonstrated that audiences remain receptive to fresh concepts well executed, even in January, traditionally considered a dumping ground for films with limited commercial potential. The success of Companion, along with films like Heretic and Longlegs from 2024, suggested a continued appetite for intelligent, well-crafted horror and thriller films that respected audience intelligence while delivering genuine entertainment. Critical response: Companion received overwhelmingly positive reviews from film critics, establishing itself as one of the most acclaimed films of early 2025 and validating the creative choices made by director Drew Hancock and his collaborators. The film achieved a remarkable 93% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 260 reviews, with the site's critical consensus reading, "A fiendishly clever contraption that doesn't rest on the laurels of its twists. Companion thrillingly puts the demented into domestic bliss." This consensus captured the critical appreciation for the film's refusal to rely solely on plot surprises, instead using its twists as launching points for deeper character exploration and thematic examination. On Metacritic, which uses a weighted average of reviews from selected critics, Companion earned a score of 70 out of 100 based on 40 reviews, indicating generally favorable reviews. This Metacritic score, while somewhat lower than the Rotten Tomatoes percentage might suggest, still represented a strong critical showing, particularly for a genre film released in January. The differential between the Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic scores reflected the different methodologies used by these aggregators. Rotten Tomatoes measures the percentage of positive reviews regardless of degree, while Metacritic weights reviews based on publication prestige and converts ratings to a 100-point scale. Chris Evangelista of /Film provided one of the most enthusiastic critical responses, awarding Companion 9 out of 10 points and calling it the first great film of 2025. Evangelista praised the film's originality and particularly highlighted the performances of Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid, noting how their work elevated the material and gave emotional weight to the film's conceptual framework. His review emphasized that Companion represented exactly the kind of fresh, original filmmaking that audiences claimed to want as an alternative to franchises and remakes, urging readers not to miss the film in theaters. Kevin Ma of The Times offered a more measured but still positive assessment, awarding the film 3 out of 5 stars. Ma contextualized Companion within the tradition of robot girlfriend movies, drawing comparisons to Fritz Lang's Metropolis and the more recent Subservience starring Megan Fox. While acknowledging the film's familiar genre roots, Ma praised its astonishingly strong opening and Sophie Thatcher's performance, suggesting that the film succeeded primarily through execution rather than conceptual innovation. Stephanie Banbury of the Financial Times also gave Companion 3 out of 5 stars, noting that while a robot that turns against its puny human controller is hardly a new idea, the film gained contemporary relevance through current anxiety around AI. Banbury observed the film's tonal variety, describing how it veers between the comic and visceral, and noted the deliberate aesthetic choices, including Barbie bright colors and a pink title sequence. She characterized Hancock's approach as attempting to deliver sexual politics in a popcorn box, but with added stage blood. Peyton Robinson of Roger Ebert's website offered a mixed positive review that acknowledged the film's entertainment value while noting certain limitations. Robinson observed that the plot can become overconvenient at points, relying on the boundless prospects of technology to become a crutch of logic, and suggested that Companion tells more than it shows rather than fully engaging with the consequences of mechanized misogyny and the implications of accommodating a culture of non-consent. Despite these reservations, Robinson concluded that it's an enjoyable romp in the sci-fi horror sphere. The AV Club's Jesse Hassinger provided one of the more critical mainstream reviews, awarding the film a C+ grade. Hassinger wrote that Companion's observations about relationship power dynamics are mostly just comedy ex machina with the faintest hint of her, neutered with a very big studio approach to inherently kinky material. This review represented a minority viewpoint in the critical conversation but highlighted concerns that some critics had about the film's willingness to fully engage with the darker implications of its premise. Many critics praised the film's tonal balance and Drew Hancock's skill in his feature directorial debut. Reviews frequently highlighted how Companion successfully navigated rapid shifts between comedy, horror, and thriller modes without feeling disjointed or tonally confused. This achievement was particularly notable given how such tonal mixing often proves unsuccessful, with films either settling into one dominant mode or feeling awkwardly assembled from incompatible parts. The critical consensus suggested that Companion succeeded where many similar attempts had failed, maintaining distinct genre elements while creating a cohesive whole. Sophie Thatcher's performance received near-universal acclaim, with critics praising her ability to navigate the character's complex emotional journey and rapid mood shifts. Several reviews specifically mentioned scenes where Iris discovers her true nature and must process that revelation through multiple emotional states, noting how Thatcher made these transitions feel authentic rather than mechanical. Critics also appreciated how Thatcher managed to make Iris sympathetic and compelling even as the character's actions became increasingly violent and morally complex. Jack Quaid's performance as Josh also received strong notices, with critics praising his ability to project likability while harboring darker motivations. Reviews noted how Quaid's casting worked against type given his generally affable screen presence, making Josh's true nature more disturbing when revealed. The chemistry between Thatcher and Quaid was frequently mentioned as a key factor in the film's success, with their performances grounding the more fantastical elements in recognizable human behavior and emotion. The supporting cast also received praise, particularly Harvey Gillett, Copyright N, and Lukas Gage as the couple Eli and Patrick. Critics appreciated how these characters provided comic relief without feeling like mere sidekicks, instead existing as fully realized individuals whose relationship served as a counterpoint to the central couple's dysfunction. Rupert Friend's brief but memorable turn as Sergei was noted by several reviewers as effectively establishing the character's threatening presence before his early exit from the narrative. Drew Hancock's direction received widespread praise, with critics particularly impressed by his confidence and control in his feature debut. Reviews frequently mentioned how Hancock's visual approach, drawing on influences like David Fincher and Steven Soderbergh, created a sleek, precise aesthetic that enhanced the film's themes while remaining accessible and entertaining. The decision to avoid making Companion feel like a traditional science fiction film was noted approvingly, with critics recognizing how this choice helped ground the story and make its themes more immediately relatable. The film's visual design, including its distinctive color palette featuring bright pinks alongside more traditional thriller aesthetics, generated significant critical commentary. Most critics viewed this visual approach as enhancing the film's satirical edge and thematic concerns, creating productive tension between surface presentation and deeper content. Some reviewers drew comparisons to Barbie's visual approach, though noting that Companion used similar techniques toward very different ends. The screenplay received mixed responses, with some critics praising its clever construction and ability to balance multiple genres, while others felt it relied too heavily on convenient plot developments and didn't fully explore its thematic implications. Several reviews noted that Hancock as director demonstrated more skill than Hancock as screenwriter, though even these critiques generally acknowledged that the script provided a solid foundation for the performances and visual execution to build upon. The film's approach to violence and gore was frequently discussed in reviews, with critics generally approving of the decision to include graphic violence while maintaining a darkly comic tone. Some reviewers particularly appreciated how the violence served thematic purposes rather than existing purely for shock value, though a few critics felt the film could have pushed its violent elements further to fully commit to its horror components. Critics divided somewhat on the question of whether Companion successfully engaged with its themes of artificial intelligence, consciousness, and relationship power dynamics. Some reviewers felt the film offered intelligent commentary on these subjects through its narrative choices and character development, while others suggested it remained too superficial in its examination of these ideas, preferring entertainment value over deeper philosophical engagement. This split reflected broader critical debates about the responsibilities of genre filmmaking and whether films can succeed as entertainment while offering meaningful thematic content. The critical response to Companion was remarkably consistent in identifying the film as a successful example of genre-blending filmmaking that entertained while raising interesting questions about relationships, technology, and human nature. While specific assessments varied, some critics viewed it as a great film while others saw it as merely good. The overwhelming critical consensus positioned Companion as a notable achievement in early 2025 cinema and a promising debut for Drew Hancock as a feature director. The film's critical success, combined with its positive audience response and commercial performance, established it as one of the year's early success stories and suggested a bright future for both Hancock and star Sophie Thatcher in genre filmmaking. Principal photography for Companion commenced in mid-2023, with the production setting up its base of operations in New York's Hudson Valley region. The filming process was designed to take advantage of the concentrated geographical area where locations had been secured, allowing for efficient movement between shooting sites while maintaining continuity in the visual presentation of the film's world. The production schedule was structured to maximize the use of the primary lake house location in Garrison, where the majority of the film's action takes place. The filming process began smoothly, with Hancock directing his first feature film while drawing on his extensive experience in television production. His background in television had prepared him well for the demands of managing a film set, coordinating between multiple departments, and maintaining a clear vision across the various elements of production. However, Hancock approached feature filmmaking with the understanding that the increased time available for each scene, compared to television's typically rushed production schedules, would allow for more refinement and experimentation in finding the optimal way to execute each moment. Approximately 4 weeks into the production, filming was abruptly halted by the onset of the Writers Guild of America strike in May 2023. Quickly followed by the Screen Actors Guild strike in July 2023. These dual labor actions brought the production to a complete standstill, as union regulations prevented both the director, as a WGA member, and the cast, as SAG-AFTRA members, from continuing work on the project. This interruption proved to be one of the most significant challenges faced during the making of Companion, as it extended the production timeline by approximately 6 months and created uncertainty about when filming could resume. The strike's impact on Companion was multifaceted. Beyond the obvious delay in completing photography, the production faced the challenge of maintaining access to the locations that had been secured, particularly the crucial Garrison Lake House. Property owners who had agreed to filming during specific time periods now had to be renegotiated with as the production schedule shifted dramatically. The cast and crew, who had been assembled with specific availability windows, had to be recoordinated once the strikes concluded. Additionally, The natural lighting conditions and seasonal appearance of the Hudson Valley locations would differ between the initial filming period and the eventual resumption of production, requiring careful planning to maintain visual continuity. Despite these challenges, the production team used the enforced hiatus to their advantage where possible. The time away from active filming provided opportunities for reflection on the footage that had been captured, allowing Hancock and his editorial team to assess what was working and what might need adjustment when filming resumed. This extended pre-production period for the remaining scenes also allowed for additional refinement of the approach to sequences that had not yet been captured. When the strikes concluded in late 2023, the companion production was able to resume filming, completing principal photography in January 2024. The final weeks of production focused on capturing the remaining scenes while ensuring that the footage matched seamlessly with what had been shot months earlier. The cinematography team paid particular attention to lighting conditions and seasonal details to maintain continuity across the production's extended timeline. Throughout the filming process, Hancock emphasized performance and character authenticity over elaborate technical flourishes. His directing approach focused on creating an environment where the actors felt comfortable exploring the emotional extremes required by their characters while maintaining the tonal balance between horror, comedy, and drama. For Sophie Thatcher, this meant navigating scenes that required her character to shift rapidly between emotional states from fear to confusion to determination to dark humor, often within single takes. Hancock's confidence in Thatcher's abilities, established during the casting process, was vindicated as she delivered the nuanced, layered performance that the role demanded. The filming of the lake house sequences required particular attention to blocking and choreography, as the confined space needed to accommodate multiple characters moving through scenes of escalating tension and violence. The production design team had carefully considered sightlines and spatial relationships during the pre-production phase, but translating these plans into actual photography required constant coordination between Hancock, Bourne, and the actors to ensure that each scene felt both spatially coherent and visually dynamic. One of the filming process's most demanding aspects involved the creation of the film's violence and gore effects. While Companion is not primarily a slasher film, it does include several sequences of graphic violence that required careful choreography and the integration of practical makeup effects. The decision to emphasize practical effects over digital effects aligned with Hancock's overall aesthetic approach and created more immediate, visceral reactions from the performers during filming. These practical effects also created unique challenges for the costume department, particularly in maintaining continuity for Sophie Thatcher's increasingly blood-stained wardrobe across scenes shot out of sequence. The filming of the opening sequence, which takes place in a supermarket and serves as a clear homage to the Stepford Wives, was completed in Fishkill, New York. This sequence establishes the film's tone and visual aesthetic while providing crucial information about the world of the story without immediately revealing its full significance. The location shooting in Fishkill allowed the production to capture the mundane, everyday quality necessary for this sequence while maintaining the slightly uncanny atmosphere that permeates the entire film. Additional filming locations in Beacon and Putnam Valley provided the variety of settings necessary to support the narrative's geographical requirements. These locations were selected and shot to feel consistent with the primary lake house setting while providing visual variation and supporting specific plot requirements. The production's concentration in the Hudson Valley region facilitated efficient movement between locations and helped maintain visual continuity across the different settings. Throughout the filming process, Hancock maintained a collaborative relationship with his department heads, regularly consulting with Bourne on cinematographic choices, with Cusio on production design elements visible within each frame, and with Porter on costume details that would support character development. This collaborative approach extended to the actors, with Hancock encouraging improvisation and character exploration within the framework of the screenplay's requirements. Several comedic moments in the final film emerged from this process of actor improvisation. particularly in scenes involving Harvey Guillaume, copyright N and Lukas Gage as Eli and Patrick. The completion of principal photography in January 2024 marked the end of a filming process that had been significantly extended by circumstances beyond the production's control. However, the finished footage provided Hancock and his editorial team with the material necessary to realize the vision that had been developing since the project's inception. The challenges faced during production, particularly the 6-month shutdown, had tested the commitment of everyone involved but ultimately resulted in a film that maintained its creative vision while navigating significant external pressures. Post-production. The post-production phase of Companion began in earnest following the completion of principal photography in January 2024, with editors Brett W. Bachman and Josh Ethier working closely with director Drew Hancock to shape the raw footage into the final film. The editorial process proved particularly crucial for Companion given the complexity of its narrative structure, which includes flashback sequences, multiple revelations that recontextualize earlier events, and rapid shifts in tone from comedy to horror to thriller and back again. The editor's task involved not just assembling scenes in chronological order but carefully orchestrating the timing of narrative information to maximize dramatic impact while maintaining the film's distinctive tonal balance. One of the most significant challenges in post-production involved managing the film's pacing. Companion runs 97 minutes, a relatively lean runtime for a contemporary genre film. But achieving this efficiency required careful consideration of which moments to emphasize and which to condense. The editing team worked to ensure that each scene served multiple purposes, so advancing the plot, developing characters, and contributing to the film's thematic exploration of relationships, control, and identity. Scenes that didn't meet these criteria, regardless of their individual quality, were trimmed or removed to maintain the film's forward momentum. The editorial process also involved extensive work on the film's opening sequence. The supermarket scene that begins Companion required precise timing to establish the film's slightly off-kilter tone without immediately revealing its science fiction elements. The editors worked to find the exact balance where the scene feels recognizably realistic while incorporating subtle details that create a sense of unease, preparing the audience for the revelations to come without telegraphing them too obviously. This delicate balance exemplifies the broader challenge faced throughout the post-production process of maintaining the film's mysteries while playing fair with the audience. The integration of the flashback sequences presented another significant editorial challenge. These scenes, which reveal the true nature of Iris's relationship with Josh, needed to be positioned within the narrative at precisely the right moments to maximize their dramatic and emotional impact. The editors experimented with different placements and durations for these flashbacks, ultimately settling on a structure that reveals information gradually rather than all at once, maintaining tension and audience engagement throughout the film's second half. Color grading for Companion was a crucial component of the post-production process, particularly given the film's distinctive visual palette. The decision to incorporate vibrant pinks and pastels alongside more traditional thriller aesthetics required careful calibration in the color grading suite. Colorists worked closely with Hancock and cinematographer Eli Bourne to ensure that the film's bright, almost Barbie-esque color choices in certain sequences didn't undermine the tension and horror elements but instead created productive tension between the film's surface presentation and its darker thematic concerns. This color work extended throughout the film, from the pink-hued title sequence to the carefully calibrated lighting of the lake house interiors. The visual effects work on Companion, while not extensive compared to larger-budget science fiction films, required careful attention to integrate seamlessly with the practical photography. The film's approach to depicting its advanced technology emphasized subtlety and integration with the physical world rather than flashy displays of futuristic capabilities. Visual effects artists worked to enhance practical effects rather than replace them, maintaining the grounded aesthetic that Hancock had established during production. This included work on certain violence and gore effects, digital augmentation of practical makeup effects, and subtle environmental enhancements to support the film's near-future setting. Sound design and mixing represented another crucial element of the post-production process. The sound team worked to create an audio landscape that supported the film's tonal shifts while maintaining clarity and coherence. This involved careful attention to the balance between dialogue, sound effects, and music, ensuring that each element could be heard clearly while contributing to the overall sonic texture of the film. The sound design for sequences of violence was particularly important, as these moments needed to impact the audience viscerally while remaining consistent with the film's overall approach to horror. The sound team also worked extensively on atmospheric elements, using ambient sound to create tension and unease in quieter moments. The dialogue editing and ADR, automated dialogue replacement, process required extensive work to ensure clarity and emotional authenticity across all performances. While the production sound captured during filming provided a strong foundation, certain scenes required additional recording to address technical issues or to enhance performance nuances that had emerged during the editorial process. Sophie Thatcher and the other cast members returned for ADR sessions, re-recording lines and adding breathing, reactions, and other performance details that enhanced the emotional reality of their characters. The creation of Dolby Atmos sound mixing for the premium theatrical presentations of Companion involved sophisticated spatial audio design that positioned sounds throughout the theater space to create an immersive experience. The sound mixing team used the Atmos format's capabilities to enhance both subtle atmospheric moments and more dramatic action sequences, creating a sense of three-dimensional space that drew audiences deeper into the film's world. This premium audio presentation became an important component of the film's theatrical release strategy, with IMAX and premium large-format screenings accounting for a significant portion of opening weekend grosses. Throughout the post-production process, Hancock maintained close involvement with all departments, ensuring that the various technical and artistic elements aligned with his overall vision for the film. Regular screenings of work-in-progress versions allowed the creative team to assess the effectiveness of their choices and make adjustments where necessary. These screenings included both internal viewings with the production team and limited test screenings with audiences, providing valuable feedback on how the film's tonal shifts and narrative revelations were landing with viewers unfamiliar with the material. The final stages of post-production involved creating the various deliverable versions of the film required for different exhibition formats. This included the creation of the standard theatrical version, the IMAX presentation, and the various home video formats that would be released following the theatrical run. Each format required specific technical specifications and adjustments to ensure optimal presentation. The 4K Ultra HD version, for instance, required additional attention to ensure that the increased resolution revealed the intended details without exposing unintended technical limitations. The post-production process for Companion was completed in late 2024, in time for the film's originally scheduled January 10, 2025 release date. However, when that date was shifted to January 31, 2025, the additional time allowed for final refinements and polish that enhanced the finished film. The completed post-production work resulted in a film that successfully balanced its multiple genres and tones while maintaining the narrative clarity and emotional authenticity that Hancock had sought from the beginning of the project. Music. The musical component of Companion plays a crucial role in establishing and maintaining the film's distinctive tonal balance, with composer Ashai Kashiway creating an original score that supports the narrative's shifts bit